All right, exam one is by far the tougher of the two exams, as it's only an hour long and you can't use your calculator, which means like it tests your raw math skill and your speed. Because of this, I reckon it's a great idea to focus on exam one first. Practicing exam one helps you build all the core skills you really need: algebra, calculus, graphing, and probability, and all the in-betweens. Doing these without a calculator forces you to really understand the methods and the theory and to not just rely on technology. These skills you build from practicing exam one first carry over directly to exam two. Even though you can use a CAS calculator in exam two, you still need to know the basic steps behind each problem. Otherwise, you won't know what buttons to press into your CAS or how to interpret the questions and answers. So by preparing for exam one first, you're not just getting ready for the harder exam, you're also setting yourself up perfectly to do much better in exam two. And remember, exam one is an extreme time crunch. You are under very limited time and you can easily ruin your chances of finishing if you just stick to one question for too long. Therefore, the best way to tackle exam one is during ready time, flip through the questions and mentally take note of the easiest questions you think you could do easily in little to no time wasted. Once writing time starts, ignore everything else and start immediately on these questions. Once you've completed these questions, you can then branch off and move upwards into the harder questions, leaving the hardest questions for last. Now looking onto the actual structure of the math methods exams. I've got here the 2024, 23, and 22 exams. The first page is always deriving. Always deriving through product or quotient rule. And part B usually being deriving logs or deriving circular functions. Probably the biggest portion of the exams are usually based around graphing, knowing how to graph, knowing how to read graphs, knowing how to get area under graphs like integration and deriving of a graph. And also there's usually a big page on probability. So on this one, there's a probability question 4, I believe, probability question 6, and probability question 4. There is usually showing for like unknown variables like this, and also a big portion is domain and range, and intervals for circular functions, and modeling. And usually there's modeling like this. There's modeling a function after a certain amount of time. Yeah, so as you can see, they all follow the same sort of structure. There's sometimes they're just throwing some miscellaneous sort of questions. But I would say the top three things are things to do with graphing, deriving, and maybe probability. They're probably the three most things you got to look for. Graphing is obviously a big area. Your key takeaways from this video should be that you should begin practicing exam ones first. You can do both at the same time if you really want, but I reckon just doing some exam ones first is really beneficial. Focus on your graphing, your deriving, your integration, your probability. Also, just realize like sort of the conditions you'll be in exam one. You'll have a lot of pressure and you have not much time to spare at all. And when I say focus on exam one first, I don't mean completely neglect exam two early. I just mean when you're lost and you've got these two very different types of exams, I just think you should initially start off with practicing an exam one. Maybe like two exam ones, then do an exam two, and then keep it even there. Because as I said before, you get lots of basic math skills from practicing exam ones. And also, I would say exam two is basically just CAS skills. If you have really good CAS skills, expect to do well in exam two, because it basically it just pretty much just relies on your CAS skills. That's it for this video. Soon I will be making a video about how to approach exam two.